Here we are, Ropeadope TV, live in East Philadelphia. We are here on a rainy Tuesday night with Escaper. I'm gonna let the band introduce themselves. First of all, thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Everybody. All right, welcome to East Philly. I hear you already got in and had some food in East Philly.
Oh yeah, I hit the cheesesteak right away.
Name of the place?
Carmen's Deli. It's been around 50 years as of this year, and it's an old Italian deli, and they do things right. It was so good. Like this size cheesesteak, I ate almost all of it actually.
Almost.
Almost.
All
I
right.
wanted to, be able to have this interview.
Save a little for later. So we didn't know, but now we do. Carmen's in East Philly. So Will Hansa, can you introduce the rest of the band so I don't make any mistakes?
Sure, no problem.
Mostly pronouncing his name.
This is Jay Giacomazzo, our fine bass player, and drums over here, Andrew Nesbitt. Not here today because they had some recording sessions to do. We had Adam Ahuja, our keys player, who also is a Ropeadope artist, working on a few other things. He's in the Flow Down and has a solo thing.
And he was on a Koof Knots record.
And he's on a Koof Knots record. And Johnny Butler is our saxophone player.
You were telling me something about Johnny Butler just a minute ago.
Oh yeah. Because he's doing a show with the Baja.
Baja, okay.
Yeah, in the drag queen.
And we have an upcoming release for Baja sometime in March. Actually, I think on the same day as your record, so we'll talk about that. So, Escaper, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
How did we meet?
How did you and I meet?
How did we all meet?
All right.
I think it starts with you, right?
Sure. Well, so there was a band that previously Jay and I were in, Kaylin and the Sky Thieves. And
I want to track that back, though.
Okay.
Because I don't remember how I met Kaylin.
Well, Wyan.
Wyan Zoe.
I'm going to say Wyan Zoe is the nexus.
So let's track that back again to the Funk Arc.
Oh yeah, the Funk Arc.
Okay. And why the Funk Arc? Because of Will Rast and Tavalis.
Yep.
So the connections, very small, but they lead us down this road. So then to Kaylin, and you were guitarist with Kaylin.
Guitarist and Kaylin. Jay was playing bass.
And bass.
And put the record out, I guess 2014. 2014. Had a good run with them, and it was a great record and really great experience. And just actually being introduced to the label and to you. I think one of the first times I met you, you would come up to New York, and Caricatura was around, and Butcher Brown guys were around, and just the sort of.
Is that like winter jazz?
Yeah.
It was cold, right?
It was cold.
Kaylin had that really cool white hat on.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. He looked so warm and elegant.
Yeah. Right? And just like sort of the family atmosphere among the different musicians and yourself, and I was like, wow, this is possible. I was really struck by that. And so like the combination of just really superior talent in these musicians that are on the roster, as well as just the sort of family attitude, and we ended up sharing some bills with Butcher Brown and Koof Knots that went on.
So you guys connected, Kaylin and Butcher Brown connected through the Ropeadope connection.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Through being in the family.
We even did.
And then went on to.
Yeah. We even did a show down in Richmond with the Kings, with
Kelly Strawbridge
Kelly.
and Devon Harris and
all the Butcher Brown guys are in.
Corey Fondo?
Corey
plays with Kings as well.
Yeah, Corey Fondo does.
I just saw Corey in London a few days ago.
Yeah. So that was a fun time, and then we had a great I guess it was a release show at Rockwood Music Hall.
Release show, yes.
That Koof Knots was first, and actually Adam was playing. Adam Ahuja was playing with him at the time, and then Kaylin and Sky Thieves had a set, and then Butcher Brown had a set after that. And one of the fun things with that is we built up this rapport with Butcher Brown, and so at the end of our set, one of us, like at a time, would get off the stage and be replaced by one of the Butcher Brown guys.
Love it.
Which led, actually, you should tell the end of that story because you were the last on stage playing with Butcher Brown.
All right, so this is I love this story. So we decided to do a live changeover with Butcher Brown, and we did it real slick. With drums. And then we did, Kaylin got off stage, Will got off stage, and I'm just left up there on the bass with Butcher Brown, and the first thing I think of is like, man, this feels good being on stage with Butcher Brown. I think I'm gonna hang out for a couple minutes. This is kind of bad right now. And I see Andrew Randazzo, the bass player, just looking up like, "You broke? Come on, man."
Right, but he didn't have that eager face on. He probably had more of a solemn, like,
poker face,
bro.
What, my band?
Andrew, you know it's true. Yeah.
So yeah. With that, I handed him the bass reluctantly, and I got off stage. But man, it was just really an incredible experience because I'd never done anything like that before, and to have that kind of camaraderie at a showcase like that was something new and exciting.
So even for guitar and bass, you were actually handing off the instrument? Like it wasn't a both plug in.
I think he plugged in
and then step up.
But,
is that the way?
Yeah. We were sharing a rig. So what I did was I threw down the volume pedal, and I kind of just like chucked them the bass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really
That
cool.
sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun. Dan, why don't you tell us that now that we know how we met? How did we
Andrew?
meet?
Right.
That's
So,
me.
you can call me Dan. That's okay. It was per a conversation that happened just a minute before the camera started rolling. But you know what? That's fine because we only met like
This is how we
45
do
minutes
it.
ago.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Yeah, right. This is a much newer connection.
That's what the notes are for.
Well, I have a funny story I could tell you how we met each other.
Right. Yeah. Well, you want me to tell?
Yeah,
the story?
sure.
All right. So for a number of years, I've been working as a percussionist with a Brooklyn-based singer-songwriter named Megan Wright, and she was hosting a sort of singer-songwriter collective, like a open mic through invite only sort of thing in a bar in Williamsburg. And so I was playing hand percussion with her one night, and Will was at that show playing with Christina LaRocca, right? And saw me play hand percussion and caught me after the show and was like, "Hey man, do you play drum set?
Yeah, dude.
And also, do you like funk music? And also, do you want to go jam on some funk music later?" And I had no idea what I was getting into. I don't know this guy. I really like seeing him rip it on electric guitar. So I'm like, okay, I like.
Thanks for being open, man.
people. And
That's how it goes.
within the next like week or two, like we got together at your boy Andy's house.
Yeah.
Which is you and Andy and you. That was where I met you for the first time.
That's right.
And it became clear, like right at the downbeat, like, oh snap, these guys know what they're doing. Like this is gonna work. And it was just like kind of on from the count off.
So was it you three were starting, and then you called Adam?
Well, it's sort of interesting. Adam came in later because I guess this all sort of started, like Jay and I met at a thing called the New York Band Draft, which is an interesting story in itself. Because what the idea was, the concept is you get about 60 musicians in New York, and it's like a fantasy football draft, but for musicians.
I remember this.
And I think Wine had done it the previous year, and this is like 5 years ago now. And basically the format is you have about 50, 60 musicians that all fill out like a profile. You have a picture or maybe a YouTube link, like your your strengths, the things you play. Then there were captains. There were 10 captains, and they had a whole draft night at a bar, and we got put on the same band. I went into this not knowing anybody who was involved with this.
Oh, so they just drafted, they're like, you guys are going to play together.
Right, and so the idea was there was going to be a semifinals and a finals, and you had a month to write 2 songs and then to do a cover song, and every band had to do the same cover. And the cover was No Sleep Till Brooklyn. And so we had,
Whose song is that?
Beastie Boys.
Okay.
And so the 4 of us in this band, we went through the whole thing. We made our songs. We got past the semifinals to the finals, and then we ended up winning the band draft. And so then Jay and I were like, man, we should like play something together. This is fun, you know?
That went well.
Yeah, it went well. Let's keep
good.
making some music.
Right.
And then, Jay's like, I've been playing with this drummer who's really great. You should come and jam with us sometime. That was Wine.
Got it.
So so then Wine and Jay and I started doing this sort of like instrumental, like improvisational thing. And
I'm sorry to interrupt. This is all during the same time that Kalen.
Right before,
and all this is happening.
Because
right?
Wyan was working with Kalen like here, and then like Jay and I were working with Wyan, and then we even did a show where we didn't have any songs. We just yelled out a key and then played for like 5 or 6 minutes in that key, and then did the next thing. It was fun.
Nice.
And then we ended up linking up with Kalen, and that turned into its own kind of band. But then, you know, Jay and I always kind of wanted to do a more like funky, jammy kind of thing. So we kind of were doing that. And I was in another band called Cold Flavor Repair, which was the sort of fun, funky party band. And this guy, Andy, was a keyboard player in that band. And so that band kind of fizzled, and me and Andy wanted to do another band. And so like that kind of became like, well, why, maybe the three of us could like get something going. We could find a drummer or two, and then that he came into the equation. And so then it was the four of us. And at first we were calling ourselves Just Another Brooklyn Band. And then and Andy kind of went back to his old band.
J-A-B-B.
Yeah, exactly, Jab. We're calling it Jab. And then you know, Andy got real busy, and you know, you knew Adam.
That to Adam. Yeah, I worked with Adam on a number of freelance projects throughout the city. We knew a couple of the same people, and just ended up on some sessions together. And so when we were looking for another keys player, and they're like, "Do you know any badass keys players?" I'm like,
Actually,
I got a guy.
And it was kind of funny because first rehearsal with Adam, I was like, "You look familiar," and Jay's like, "Yeah, he was in Cuff's band. They played on the same bill," and I was like, "Oh man, that's such a small world." And it's like, hey, it's Ropeadope. That's really awesome too. You know, like it's the kind of part of the family. So that was kind of a beautiful thing. And then Johnny Butler, just to bring him in, he's somebody that I met at Pete's Candy Store in Brooklyn. There's a small music venue there. And I've done a lot of live looping kind of things, like solo live looping, and it's something that he did as well. We were on a bill together and didn't know that, and then we're like, we're digging each other's stuff, and we became good friends. And he's a great musician. He was in Sister Sparrow and the Dirty Birds, and he recorded with Beyonce,
Queen Bee.
Queen Bee. Yeah,
That's a good parentheses.
right. Great player, great
bio.
great vibes.
We
kind
talk
of guy.
about the parentheses all the
Yeah,
time.
right.
Winston Bird was in last week for an interview, and I said, okay, just fill in the parentheses. It's like all the people you play with.
Yeah, right.
On every musician bio, it's like
There's always
parentheses,
exactly.
Beyonce, parentheses.
Yep, yep. It's pretty funny. So yeah, it all kind of came together that way, and by the time Adam and Johnny got to the band, we'd been playing. Three of us have been playing for about a year, sort of just like getting together, and songs started coming out of that, and then Johnny and Adam came into it, and we refined things, and about 6 months later we recorded this album, and by then we had really come into like some really finite structures for these songs. The idea was still to allow for improvisation, especially for our live shows, and let things be expansive and let the moment take over when it was allowing for that. But to also still have, these are our particular songs. So it's kind of
It's
finding
interesting that you say that now, because what I just wanted to throw in there was with the casual and sort of flowing nature of how people met and how everybody came involved, and the fun part of it, the camaraderie. There's something really serious about Escaper. So now you're talking about how it gets from that. You have this comfortable environment, and now you get focused.
Right. Well, I think that's very right, because it could have just been like, well, we like to get together and jam and stuff, and then it was like, oh, this is like pretty like good, and we should do something with it. But then also like we didn't want to just be a sort of meandering jam band. We wanted to really have songs, and it's been interesting too to like.
Are you allowed to say the J word on?
Okay, so is that allowed?
We'll cut that. We'll bleep that.
The improvisational oriented music, but the idea of so we wanted to have these songs come out and like be their own entities and have a feel to them, and being a mostly instrumental band, it can sometimes be hard to have song recognition among your audience. But one thing we've realized is that we have a song called Narwhal, the unicorn of the sea, and people love that.
I gotta stop on the narwhal thing. I had a moment with my kid where I saw narwhals all over the internet. There was a time when there was like a narwhal meme everywhere.
Yes, narwhals were hot.
And I was like, I'm tired of seeing this fictional thing. And my kid's like, what? Narwhals are real. I'm like, I thought it was like the Santa Claus conversation that I had.
Right.
And then he showed me and I looked it up. I'm like, they're a real thing.
Well, yeah, no, it's
Narwhal.
even that song like had an evolution, and the evolution is not that different from way mammals went back to the sea and became whales, because we were calling it hippo or hippo dancing.
Is that what it is?
The hippo dance.
Well,
They went back to the sea?
Well, whales come from mammals that were living on land, you know, and so like the evolution of whales is like. You know,
I did not expect
animals that come from the ocean go to land for a while, get a lot of more oxygen, so get bigger brains, and then go, you know what? That sea thing was pretty cool. Let's go back there. And so, you know, whales are like way more evolved than say sharks that never left the sea.
I'm for it. Let's do it now.
Let's go, man.
Some of us
Proto-dolphin.
might want to go back to the sea.
Back to the sea now.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Lots to eat there. You can just sort of swim around. No humans. But so we had a funny name, this hippo dance thing, and but it had this like sort of lumbering yet bouncy bass line, which it kind of like fed the name of it. And then I think it was like, you know, Johnny Butler, especially with the sax part in the beginning, had this sort of swirling noise, and that made me think of a narwhal horn. Yeah. And then more of a magical creature kind of thing. So it's still like this heaviness, but a magical gliding feel through it. So anyways,
So it's not a unicorn.
So I tend to tell a story about it, you know, when we play live, and so people remember this, and they'll be like, "Oh man, Narwhal! We love Narwhal!" You know. So it's just those kind of like a story gets into the song, and that's something that we've tried to cultivate.
When you do that live, like in your live set, you'll stop and talk between songs.
It's not not all the time, but like for this one in particular, a story has evolved, and I've been known to maybe swim around the stage with a guitar tusk. It happened.
You have a narwhal.
At least once, twice.
It did happen.
Yeah, I'm seeing different people. Terrace Martin will stop and talk for 10 minutes in between songs.
So far,
When I watched that.
I don't think we've earned that yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But,
what's interesting is that I think everybody in the business, I watched it happen, and they're like, you know, some of the fans, although they tend to be the most obnoxious or drunk ones. Like, I'm not saying that fans are obnoxious. We love fans, but you know, there's always a guy, you know, who didn't really come for the music, came for whatever reasons because he didn't have anything else to do and he's drunk. Like, he gets annoyed, but everyone else is listening intently, and people in the business right now are going, "What is he doing?
right.
Why are you talking to the audience? What's up?" And I think that a lot of those people come from a time when the music was just, you know, broadcast at people.
Right.
And now we live in a time where, I mean, theoretically, if you go out and you do a show and there's 300 people in the audience, they could all be people that have liked things on Facebook, and then you've already had a conversation with online, you know. And I think, you know, that kind of, I'm not sure, but I feel like it ushers in this new era of music where you guys who are supremely talented and are living an incredible life devoted to music aren't up here on stage, but you're right there. You're like, because you are human.
That's
You're not some like otherworldly thing, like,
right.
and that's a big thing. And sorry.
No, I think what you're saying is exactly a great point, because there's a philosophy that I really believe in, and you said, you know, it was like, instead of like playing at people, the music is something that you're playing, you know, with them.
Right.
It's
a human experience.
It's a human experience for all of us to be involved in. Yeah. And some of the newest material that we've come up with in the past year of playing shows have been written on stage during shows, where it's like there's a great vibe going and people are really enjoying the vibe, and we're like, let's roll with this, you know, let's, you know, choose a key and roll with something that's gonna like keep this vibe going. And next thing you know, we've written like this awesome thing. We go back and then we start, you know, go, oh, let's use that and cultivate that into a song. But that's something that happened only because we were interacting with the crowd at that time.
Well, Yeah, so that's it. It's not, you can't separate the music from the people, or the people from the music, right?
Exactly.
This is a human thing. I want you to talk about the album a little bit, but I'd like to kind of go around. Tell us your story. Yeah?
My story?
Yeah, where are you from?
Right, born and raised in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm a Midwest farm boy.
I want to bring politics into this.
I know,
but I'm not going to do
No.
that. Wisconsin.
Let's let that one lie. No, I live in New York. I'm unaffiliated with any political decisions that are happening right now in Wisconsin.
We're sufficiently divested.
No, so born and raised in an area called Door County, Wisconsin, just a little bit outside of Green Bay. Studied music from the time I was really young. It became my passion in high school. Went to college in the state as a music major, and then transferred to Berkeley College of Music in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Finished up my studies there.
I've heard of that.
Continue my studies. There are a few who have. The name has gotten around a bit. So moved to Boston, dropped out of school, stayed just playing in bands and trying to make some connections in Boston for a couple more years until I finally packed up and moved to New York about 4 years ago.
Gotcha.
And I'm so glad I did. I like Boston. I love Boston. I love going to visit. New York City's where it's at for me. And
It's a crossroads. Boston's a little isolated, right?
Yeah.
In the international.
A little bit, yeah. Plus, I don't know. Just everything is so much bigger and more diverse in New York.
Yeah.
Everything, like the people, the music scenes, whatever, anything that you could be interested in. There's like more of and a bigger market.
Well, Brooklyn's probably what, 3 times larger. Brooklyn itself is 3 times larger than Boston.
Yeah.
3 to 4 times.
At
a lot
least.
of people.
Yeah, probably about 3 or 4 times. I think Boston's somewhere around 1 million people, 1.5 million, and Brooklyn's at like 4
Right.
I don't know my statistics.
Accurate.
Correct.
So
that's at least close.
So aside from this band, what's
so I do have a couple other projects going on right now. Stylistically, they're kind of all over the map because that's more how I like to play it. I'd rather be in a few different bands that represent different genres and different require different things from my skill set, as opposed to being in 3 different jazz bands. You know,
Right.
That's not
a challenge.
That's yeah. No, it's not. It's not as much of a challenge, and it doesn't.
No, I mean the challenge of playing different things.
Right. I like switching gears a little bit because it forces me to stay on my toes. You know, so I like the expression and the free-flowing nature of everything that we do in Escaper is really important for me as a human being and as a musician in general. It's a certain part of my brain that I need to activate to be doing this versus playing with an indie pop project or playing in a country sort of folk project. You have to approach it completely differently. And I like that. You kind of get to metaphorically change hats.
That was sort of a thing that our band was founded upon, and even the name Escaper kind of came out of, because the idea of every one of us, have done other projects and been professional in different kinds of bands or whatever it was, but this project was supposed to be all our baby, labor of love, our own expression. We can have conversations about each other's parts, but no one was going to tell each other what to do necessarily. And we take advantage of everybody's individual talents that way the most, because they can put their own soul into it and just feel free to please do that kind of idea. And escaper means literally to escape confinement. So that idea of feeling free within the music was ultimately important.
It's nice. We got a few minutes left. Jay, I should probably know all this stuff, but tell me what's
Oh man, all right.
tell me your path.
All right, so here's the story. So I'm a native of New York. I grew up in the Bronx, New York, and I had really amazing parents who cultivated my love for music at a really early age. My first live music experience was the Beach Boys at Yankee Stadium. And it
Wow.
was it was incredibly intense.
That's unique.
Yeah. It was incredibly intense for me being a 6-year-old boy, watching this music, and I didn't know exactly what was happening, but I knew that I loved it, and I knew that it was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And after that, my parents took me to a ton of shows, including a ton of jazz shows, and I'll never forget, I saw a band called Spyro Gyro when I was 11 years old.
There you go.
so a band called Spire Gyra, and I'll never forget looking at the bass player Kim Stone was playing a teal-colored 6-string bass. I remember everything about it, and I remember telling my mom like, I want that. That's cool.
Beautiful.
And she was so excited. She brought me up to meet him after the show, and he was the sweetest man on the planet. And after that, it was like bass, everything bass. So after that, I finished high school. I went on to study music at SUNY Purchase College under some great people. After that, I studied at the New School with some amazing people as well. And you know, I was living in Westchester at the time, and I realized that, you know, I wasn't going to get where I wanted to go unless I moved back, you know, to where I came from originally, and that was New York City. And you know, Brooklyn was trending at the time. This is around 2006. The cool thing was to move to Brooklyn, so I said, you know what, let me quit while I'm ahead. Let's move to Brooklyn. I moved to Brooklyn, and within 2 years, I started to get into the mix, and brought me over to something called New York Band Draft, which led me to meet this guy, Will Hansen.
There you go.
And yeah, that was, in a nutshell, point A to point B.
I'd love to, we're going to be tight on time, but, you know, one of the things I want to do, bring into the next interview when you guys come back, is, and maybe even these are things that you guys can record when you're in New York or wherever, in Brooklyn. You know, I think people want to know what it's like. Like, they got a sense of how this all comes together, but what's it like? What's the struggle? What's the daily life like? Trying to be a musician and make it your livelihood, or keep it your livelihood. Record is out March 10th, right? 2017, which is going to be here before we know it. It's going to fit neatly in with some new stuff that we have on Ropeadope. February 24th, Senor Langosta. That's the surprise. March 3rd, Sole Monde, Ray and Russ from Trey Anastasia's band. And then the 10th, Escaper. We'll have another release that day, Baja. So we're going to have these two different corners coming out of Brooklyn. It's going to be very interesting. And then follow it up March 17th with Little Mike Mitchell from Dallas, Texas, which is going to be completely different than anything. So I'm looking forward to hearing more. It may surprise the audience sometimes. I don't think I've heard the whole record yet. But anything else you guys want to say about the
single out on Friday?
That's right.
Start teasing it right now. You know?
Oh, that's right. It's this Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, calendars are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said one of the
So
hardest
this
things a band
single
is
is coming
scheduling.
out this Friday. We're going to play it. It's going to be on this interview. We're gonna have the single behind, and hopefully a couple other tracks.
Yeah, we can get you something.
We can do that, and we'll put Escaper music behind all of this. I've listened to this single a ton of times, not just for work. It's really unusual because I have a lot of time, you know. And my son is kind of like leaning to, you know, that a little bit of heavy guitar.
Oh yeah.
He recently went to, was it Metallica? No, it was, one of those bands.
Metallica just did recently play a few gigs.
He did. It wasn't Metallica, but it was. Yeah, like he's gonna kill me. Anyway, yeah. So I'm playing. I tried to get him to come down tonight to meet you. But it's good. It's good. Really strong, really powerful. Makes me feel confident.
Yeah, it's great.
It makes me feel confident. You know, like, and remember that, like, you know, there is power. There is power in a world sometimes that doesn't feel that you are that empowered.
Yeah,
so,
it's a great compliment. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see you all. Great to meet you all.
Yes.
And is that it?
That's it.
We're done.
Awesome.
Escaper, Friday.
Yay.